So hello everyone. Welcome to today's water cooler chat where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's delegating, orchestrating, broadcasting, inference, AI jobs, anything to do with the Livepeer network. We're here to ask questions and get answers. So today is the announcement real quick. We got a lot of topics ahead of us, technical updates, some inflation updates, some news. But I want to just quickly kind of kick us off with the water cooler chat itself. So for those that haven't read the article or at least the forum post, I quickly put out a forum post last week about my role with the water cooler chat. And Rick, thank you. I like the daydream filter. That's awesome. You look very good. You look like a little. You almost look like the Pokemon Ash from Pokemon. Your cartoon. You're like a Pokemon master. But yeah, the what's going to be happening with the water cooler chat? So the water cooler chat has been running for about 4 years, and like I said, it started out as a very simple like get together, get to know each other in the community. It really was talking about what GPUs we were using and secret command line stuff on how to run our nodes. A lot of it was around node operating and we talked a lot about how to we discovered a lot about the network and how to do geolocation of nodes and securing our nodes and as the orchestrators kind of came in and discussed more, we developed a much more broad and robust orchestrator community. And then it expanded to, well, let's not just make it about orchestrators, let's make it about everything Livepeer. So let's make it about delegators and builders and anyone who wants to talk about Livepeer. And so then that became the water cooler chat, and we started getting more and more people. And then it became a ritual to introduce ourselves at the beginning of the water cooler. There isn't an agenda at the beginning of these calls. We make the agenda as we go. And so it always was quite fun because it was open for the discussion was always different. And this was kind of the start of the water cooler. But now it's been 4 years and the water cooler is getting very large, and I think it's just time for an overhaul of a weekly call. So one of the things about the water cooler is there's no time frame. It runs 2 hours sometimes. It runs 1.5 hours other times. It's like not very structured in how long the call is going to go. It's not very structured as to what we're going to talk about. There's just a lot of improvements I think we can make on a weekly call. And, I've been doing this for 4 years. And now that the agent SPE has funds, I would like to just step down and focus on that and let's reinvent the weekly call. And so I've talked with Anne and I said, listen, I think the Inc., or at least the community can now come up with a better idea on what a weekly call looks like. It could probably use a rebrand. Water cooler chat doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. It might even be too casual for the topics were being discussed. Like we at the beginning, we were again just talking about like GPUs and the weather outside. Now it's like we're talking about guiding the protocol inflation and treasury proposals, and it's just become not a water cooler chat anymore. It's become more like office hours or some other name that is more accurate. So yeah, basically with just it's perfect timing to step down. Let's rebrand it. Let's do something new, get feedback, and build out a better call. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to attending these. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here every week. There's an opportunity for someone else to come in and build out a really good weekly call. And in doing so, I'm also going to be shutting down this Titan startup grant. Define was the last orchestrator to receive 10,000 LPT as a temporary stake. But 10,000 LPT doesn't actually get you that far up the list anymore. The original 5,000 doesn't get you on the list anymore. So it's just it's hit its max threshold of what the startup grant used to be, and it's just it's served its purpose, and I think it's brought in quite a few orchestrators, and so it was a successful program, and but it also needs a complete revamp or change that someone else can take over. So yeah, just kind of making those changes to reflect my new role with the agent SP, and stepping down so that this can be like just a growth period, right? To get feedback on what we're gonna do with the weekly call. So that's my update, and thanks everyone for coming to these calls and being supportive and learning about Livepeer and contributing. So just want to thank you guys so much. With that being said, we'll continue on. Why don't we kick us off with N? So first, N, give us an update on general updates, the next steps around this call, what you see, and then we'll hand it off to Doug to talk about the LIP inflation, the inflation LIP, and also more comments on going forward. So N, let's kick us off.
Hello, everyone. Again, huge shout out to Titan. You've built an incredible community, and I'm excited to continue to grow with everyone who you brought in. As like Moni said, it was a ton of people. Anyway, first announcements. The Daydream app now has an Explorer, which if you want to check it out, go to daydream.live. Secondly, the participation momentarily reached 50%. I think we got a few inflation decreases there, a few rounds in, but now it is sitting at 49.7%. So maybe some interesting conversation around there of we crested above and then dipped just below. Maybe there's some more conversation we can have around that. There will be real-time video AI bootcamp demo day tentatively Wednesday, May 14th. And also Stream 2.0 SP by Eli has passed, and that's the largest SPE to pass to date. We have an update on Livepeer Foundation over the next month. Livepeer Foundation, which includes Ben, Rick, Rich, and Joe, will be kind of solidifying the roadmap alongside with Inc., myself, and others. And if you're interested in kind of how Livepeer Foundation is shaping up, head to governance and share your opinions there. But those are the big updates for this week. Okay, so after the updates, just sharing my thoughts on the water cooler. When I initially came on as head of community, my intention was I wanted Titan to continue running this because Titan built it, and now that Titan is stepping back, my perspective is this is a really important space for us to have, right? A weekly cadence that we can connect, chat, get to know each other. And also I always have felt that there's too much being shoved in a small box. So with that said, kind of what I proposed on the forum was maintaining a weekly coffee chat or water cooler, more proper, where we don't have an agenda. We are just here to hang out, talk about Livepeer adjacent, personal stuff, and maybe getting into some specific details on conversations happening in channels that people want to have synced instead of async. And then also having maybe a weekly, bi-weekly, more official call that we can live stream to all the different platforms we're on, and have kind of more announcements, presentations, AMAs, those type of things. That would be maybe 30 minutes. So that's the kind of what was immediately popped up in my head. But again, I want to hear everyone's ideas, and I'll try to synthesize something from this call, and I'll present that, and we can have more discussion. Ideally, we over this week figure it out, and then start the next flow next week. But if we do need 2 weeks, not a huge deal. But yeah, trying to move quickly to maintain the momentum we already have. So those are my thoughts there.
Excellent. Sorry, I just circled back around real quick. I did miss an introduction. Sorry, Phoenix. I totally skipped over you. I think I was just getting getting lost on my screen of who I covered, and I missed Phoenix. So Phoenix, do you want to introduce yourself and a topic or question you have?
Everyone, thanks, Titan. Yeah, no problem at all. I know it's a big day, so it's Phoenix here. Been running the Chase Media now for about 3 years or so, and I kind of wanted just to say that thanks so much for doing these water coolers. I've been at almost every single one of them, and me and Papa Bear. I mean, Papa Bear was there from the start and basically was there every time as well. And I just wanted to say that it's incredible how it's developed. I mean, a lot of it's way over my head technically, but I've learnt so much, and it's just changed and evolved so much, and you've brought so many people into this space, and it's just been fantastic. So I really hope that whoever continues on can keep kind of the the community so integrated as you have done. So I just wanted to really say that. And no topics. I'm just here to listen in, and I'm part of the Agent SPE as well. So I'm here to support that as well. But yeah, thanks for everything, Titan.
Awesome, thank you so much. Okay, so just to circle back around to N's topic, basically, N, you had mentioned some ideas for going forward on what a weekly call is and keeping up a weekly cadence. So why don't we open it up to the floor on ideas of what people would like to see during a weekly call? Is there any suggestions, topics, or things they've seen done really well in other communities that you think that could be brought to our weekly call? Opening it up for suggestions and comments.
I'll just
Hey.
on a. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, no, sorry, Mike. Hey, it's Sean. Yeah, I mean, I actually there was a day that you did a security presentation, and it felt more like like a lunch and learn. And I was just thinking also a lot about what we're doing because we are implementing a lot of frameworks and like there's interesting people that we just meet that maybe could come and do a workshop. Also, all the other SPEs, like other than like having it be this presentation, but like this knowledge share, I think that's a really interesting use of part of it. Also to give it some kind of structure, like anticipation structured, if that makes any sense. Um, and then one other, and please don't at me yet about it, but was thinking about time zones. Like, is there something to having two times potentially, just so like maybe more people that are a little bit later in the Eastern, or like I mean, I know a lot of the team is US based, but since we're also thinking about like what it could look like, it might serve some if it's a little bit earlier on the time as well. And there's a way to. I mean, it's cool that everyone's here. Like, I think that I would want to be here too, but maybe we could even grab more people if that in that way.
Yeah, excellent comments. I'll address them real quick and then hand them off to N for or anyone else. So the first one was around like a lunch and learn and a workshop that I once did. And yeah, so just for those that don't know, like I tried to do like a Q&A session every other water cooler. I actually for like a year I did Q&A sessions almost every other water cooler. And then sometimes I would even sprinkle in like workshops where I would do guided workshops on security or operating nodes, all types of different things. I haven't done a lot of those lately. One is just because of the sheer amount of effort you have to put into organizing a Q&A session and organizing a weekly workshop. So yeah, I had my second kid in June, and I've been working on this agent stuff this is one of the reasons I've like stepped down during this role, is because organizing weekly members and weekly workshops, that's just like a lot of work. And so yeah, if someone is up for that, then yeah, I would say that's a really big positive. So yeah, that just straight up takes effort. So weekly workshops are it's good to hear that people enjoyed those. The other one was around time zone. So 3 years ago we did a Google poll, or like a poll on when to do the water cooler, and it landed at this time. And we can definitely redo that poll. So that poll was done. From my understanding, Varies had mentioned because I thought Varies would do it earlier. Very sorry to pick on you, but I remember your vote specifically because I think you voted for this time because it was after dinner time in the Euro time zone. And before, we used to do it 3 hours earlier, and so it landed on dinner in Europe. So I don't know. Do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically that, right? It's like, I guess for you, time zone, it's kind of like 3 hours earlier would pretty much land right around dinner time. So either like it's 4 or 5 hours earlier, or then like, yeah, around that time, I guess, which is after work hours. So I'm not sure. It's still not ideal, I guess, for you, but a lot more manageable, I guess.
Yeah, one note for me on that. I think that's why I kind of suggested this 2-section format, is because I think what we want to have is like a shorter, super high context, super informative moment in the community, and then have like longer, more chill, like not everyone has to be there or you're gonna miss something important vibe. Um, and have those kind of separated out, so then if people want to catch that 30-minute like super high value like moment in the community, everyone can watch that back. It's recorded. But I think having the water cooler be so critical for everyone to attend definitely can provide some problems for kind of information sharing within the community.
Yeah, just based on the time zone topic, if we are going to change the time, then and maybe the day, then yeah, I think we should run a poll, and there should be some very good reasons to change it. The cadence of this call has been like really steady and hasn't changed in over 3 years, so like people are very attuned to it, I think. But it doesn't mean we can't change it. Again, like I picked this because of just sheer like we picked this date and time based on like one vote difference at that time. So it wasn't even like a strong opinion. It was just what landed. So it's definitely up for change. Also, the water cooler chat doesn't make sense to have on a Monday. Like even just the name implies it's a water cooler, so it's supposed to be laid back. Like it should have been on a Friday, but we didn't pick a Friday because I don't know why. There was a reason, or like people didn't want it on a Friday, and it landed on a Monday, and then ended up actually being the call that kicked off a lot of excitement for the rest of the week. Because if you have all these great ideas, but it's a Friday, by Monday you've like forgotten them. And so one of the good things I think having it on a Monday is that like it gets people excited. But does it make sense to have called a water cooler? Like you can see there's just like a lot of like things that happened that like weren't even thought out. It was just really organic. So yeah, I'm curious to see how many more people would come based on a different time. But for me, I'm in the Pacific time zone, so it's like noon for me. I could go 3 hours either direction. It's fine. But yeah, this is just what it landed. So we can definitely change it if people want that.
It's like the breakfast chat for you. If they move it 4 hours earlier, you'll be just waking up.
Yeah. I mean, then I got to get up for 8 a.m. for a call for a water, and
Yeah.
with 2 young kids, that's tough. But
Yeah.
it's it depends on what's going on. StreamM says, who is the target audience for the call? LPT investors. I would say historically it hasn't been for LPT investors. In fact, I think delegators are one of the least represented in the call. I think actually we're at the point where it's probably 60% orchestrator. I think it's like 80% of the orchestrators show up, like in terms of, and then you get like developers. Like lately, we've been getting a lot of developers, like development talk, but it's in the early days we used to have quite a few people coming in asking how to stake or like how do tokenomics work. But I don't think we've really had the staking and tokenomics talk with new people for a while. So we do have, Osman. Shout out to Osman, who's our number one delegator, super OG, and but for the most part, it's mostly orchestrators and developers who are doing the call.
Hey, I tell you why I'm asking, because like I'm kind of an outsider. Like I was starting to join the calls, I think 2 months ago, a bit more, but like around so. And like being here had like this different uh, values, qualities that like I got. First of all, it got me like really believing in the LPT community and token. Second of all, like it's a really good ground for like getting updates on like the leading edge of AI specifically. And like third of all, I don't know, like you guys are cool. Like like most of the time it's like it's chill here. So like just my 2 cents, because like if there is some intention to like grow the holders of like those like of the LPT, I think that like this call can be a good like vertical to do it, especially if it was happening on Twitter, to be honest, because like there are people that are like new to LPT and like don't know this stuff. Um, so like that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, to quickly chime on into that. So thank you, Stream TV, for that. So I think I had the same experience there. So as I stated before, I joined the Livepeer community through the water cooler talk just because people were talking, people were open. Even Doug was in the water cooler talk. So people got a direct line with the engineering teams, with the leadership there. And I really enjoyed this more free-floating experience where people made an agenda, just were able to ask any questions to team members like myself or people in the SPE, the Inc. team, other SPEs. And I like the suggestion from N to at least keep that part of the water cooler alive. I will be in here, depending on, we can change the time, of course, but just having that more informal interaction with the community where they can ask any question. I'm really fond of that.
I'm gonna jump in and say the same thing. Don't downplay the organic growth and nature or the evolution of this call. Like, you're saying it needs a revamp. Maybe not. I think yes, it's gonna be sad that you would step down, but at the end of the day, you know, folks here are, this becomes a habit. You know what I mean? Like 3 years for me to, it'll be like my caffeine fix for the Monday. You know what I mean? I get jazzed up and ready to go, knowing that 3 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be jumping on the water cooler. You know what I mean? So, like to me, I don't want to break those common expectations. I think node ops, if it's development or running a node or all of those topics, GPUs and AI, as Stream said, the bleeding edge talk. Let's not if we split out some different calls to, capture high value moments, as N pointed out, I think those are great too, because it definitely gets busy in this water cooler. So, but I think the core nucleus is still there, right? Everybody's running a node, everyone's participating in Livepeer, and a free forum. Just ask any questions, jump in, say whatever. I mean, I that's again my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I mentioned this in chat. I want to plus one that, Mike. I think it's important to have like casual spaces in community, like just that's like a community best practice, because that's how you know, just from a human perspective, right? How you connect with people. It's not through like a presentation that can help you learn, but in terms of feeling connected to a place or a space, it usually is coming from the more non-formal moments and overlap. So I do think like that's why I suggested two separate things. One would retain water cooler as it is, and the other would be that kind of more quote unquote like structured environment for people who are like, hey, I want to learn about Livepeer, but I'm not comfortable speaking yet. Right now we have a place that's like this where it's really high knowledge folks coming together, talking, pushing things along. And also I think that can be an intimidating space for a lot of people who like might want to get involved but don't know where to get started, don't know how to jump into the conversation. The kind of more like one to many type of calls help people feel more comfortable to say, oh, I kind of know what's going on, what the needs are, and let me jump into that need that was mentioned for the SPE I heard about during the other more formal call. So that's kind of why I wanted both, because I don't think we should change this necessarily. I mean, maybe we can format it in some different ways, or just not have the introduction and just have people jump in and hang. But yeah, my thoughts.
Maybe some kind of a hybrid can like be the better form, where like we, I don't know, start with like, I don't know, a recap of updates on Livepeer and like some AI stuff and IT stuff, and end with some like, I don't know, newbies talk or something.
So I like that a lot. So, and for example, if you then go, you have your other updates that are more formal that SPEs groups can provide their updates. Can it be then like a recap of those meetings, and then everybody is to jump in to ask questions to people?
Yeah, that's totally possible. Could you repeat it one more time? Go a bit deeper.
So no, stream it if I understand you correctly, meaning that this chat will more be about what happened during the week. Or for example, you have your more structured call for the Livepeer ecosystem on like updates that people can jump in, they can reserve a spot. And then this call is more like an actual water cooler that people can talk about anything. For example, if I have an update on the AI SP, or in the future the foundation, and people just want to ask questions, people can ensure that they are here, for example. That it's more an informal space. Just
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like maybe even like make it like one call, like that, like starts with some like formal like part, and then we go to the like pre-agenda, which is like also very very fun, because like just come and like speak your mind. But then like you can catch like two birds with one stone. I don't know if you say it like that.
Right. Yeah, I think N has to do N if you're leading the this initiative, I think there's a lot of research that you need to do. So I'm excited to see what you come up with, and I'm happy you're taking notes. There's just so much great information. Doug says two things I really appreciate about Titan's hosting. He often invites guests or schedules a single agenda topic to focus on a call a little bit before a completely open topic discussion. As Sean said, it gives people something excited to anticipate. like I said, I used to do that a lot more often. Actually, Casey is in the audience listening with STV, and he was the last Q&A session I did, and that was over a month ago, and so it scheduling all that takes a lot of effort and work, and so if someone has that energy to bring to it, then I think people really appreciated that. And then second, Doug says about great moderation and inclusive. So about the inclusive of everyone part, one of the traditions we did was introducing everyone at the beginning of the call, and I'm just kind of curious whether people want to keep that type of introduction, whether they saw value in that introduction. I know that it can get quite dry, especially if you're reintroducing yourself to people that you already know. But from my experience being like in Toastmasters or something, it's annoying to repeat your introduction to people you know. But if you're the new person in the group, it's super helpful to have that introduction of who everyone is for the very first time. And so the introductions are not for the regulars, they're always for the newcomers. And that is how you get people to buy in to coming. So I'm just kind of curious as to like, maybe there's a better way to do introductions, whether it can be shorter or if we're happy about introductions and obviously I'm doing the introduction and topic. We can, and can reorganize all that. But what was the feedback on introductions at the beginning? Because they could take 10 minutes, 15 minutes sometimes. Just would like some feedback on that.
Yeah, I gave some feedback in the chat. So mostly when I first joined years ago, it was helpful for me as well as a newcomer to know what we're talking. So at least the background, what they were doing, and this helped me a lot. So I like the introduction, but I can see that it can take a long time.
I think from my side, the negatives of the introduction, I think positive outweigh it. But I think the negatives come more from, because this is a really important call for people to get information. I think if people want that information, it like drags it on, right? So if people are wanting like, okay, I need to know what's happening with, stream place, and I just only came to listen to Eli, right? Those type of moments, I think, is where it can get like bogged down. So it's why pulling out that critical information and moving that to something else will allow, I think, water cooler to stay mostly the same, because if the topic has already been discussed, if there's already Eli did an AMA about stream place on Wednesday or something, and then everyone already watched it, knows kind of the vibe there, we've discussed it in the channels. Then if there's any lingering conversation, then the water cooler is a place where, like, yeah, I just want to touch more on what Eli was talking about for stream place. I have concerns here. And that's my topic for today. So I think that shapes it better, and allows it to stay true to form.
Yeah, I would just say, like, just from my experience doing meetings and stuff, some of the best comments you want from people are oftentimes not the outgoing ones that will jump in. And so you have to really pull it out of them to turn on their mic and even say hello. But at least if they've turned on their mic and you know that they're alive and that they said hello, they're more likely to say, hey, like I have an opinion about this. And then, they're they're next level engineers who come out of the woodwork and like, you're like, oh, wow, like this is excellent. Whereas otherwise you get mostly Twitter type, outgoing people that, they're willing to say, say anything, and that's fine. But then you just end up with that one,
right,
a dominant, personality. Whereas from my experience, it's the ones that have great things to say, but are just not willing to speak up because you're stuck with all these A personalities running around screaming at each other on Twitter, and that's tough. So I think there's just a better way to do it. I don't know how or what, but the introductions I thought were always pretty effective. Just kind of curious as to how that could be improved or changed, but
Just my 2 cents. I think they're great because everyone that doesn't know anyone get to know their people's names, and they get to it may be a little bit redundant, but I think folks hearing their names and having other people call them by their names and talk and call them out, and you're feeling like you're part of it. You know what I mean? Like you're just part of the family. Hey, it's Mike and Zodad. There he is. What's up, man? Like everyone's just all together. So I think for me, if I don't want to if I don't feel like getting up and talking, I'll just stay in the audience until the introduction's over. Maybe that's an easy way to, if you don't have a topic, don't jump up. You know what I mean? But if you do, you can. I don't know. I think it's a good way. Maybe if there's some way to expedite it, like I said, that might be useful. But I think it's good to hear your name, and then you're recorded and you're on YouTube. Like it feels good knowing that you're part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would add. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Titan.
No, you go up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think potentially just having it be more structured, saying like max 30 minutes, 30 not minutes, 30 seconds, like name and 30 second of topic, or 10 seconds or 5 seconds, right? Just like a super brief, and then that can like push it along, because I mean usually we have like 10, sometimes 5 to 10 people, so it would be max like a minute to 2 minutes if each person was super quick. Right now I think the introduction topic usually run a bit longer, but yeah, I kind of, the consensus I think we're at is it's a great format, and maybe we can optimize, make it a bit shorter, having a bit more structure around it, but it sounds like it's something people feel good about, and I feel good about it too. I think it was a great structure, and also I think the thing you maybe glanced over, Titan, is because you ask everyone in the audience, you like invite them up. There's already that invitation. Most times, what will happen in a lot of like spaces is that only certain people get invitations, right? So when you invite everyone up, it shows that this is actually an open space for anyone to speak up in, not just the loudmouths.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot to go over here. I think we should move on from the topic because there's lots more to go through, and I think we could spend a lot of time on this topic. So the best thing to do, Anne, is to do what you got to do. Run polls, write a forum post, get people's feedback in writing, and I think this was hopefully for you a good start to that journey. So.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, I just want to keep moving on because we got LIP inflation, but we have a lot of technical talk coming up about agents, AI, really, really awesome technical updates that I think people are interested in. So let's continue on. So Doug, I'd like to invite you up now about the inflation LIP and any other topics you'd like to cover.
Great. Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. I don't want to beat it to death, but there is a Livepeer improvement proposal, LIP 100, which proposed potentially adding an inflation ceiling and an inflation floor to sort of bound the range of where inflation on the Livepeer network could be. This was authored when the participation rate had been below 50% for a long time. It wasn't clear if we were going to get there anytime soon. Since then, we have briefly surpassed 50% participation, and inflation's pretty high, so it's likely, we'll get back there pretty soon. It wasn't clear that people necessarily wanted these bounds, so no one's really rushing to propose it. But now that we're around 50%, I wanted to see if anyone had any thoughts they wanted to share, wanted to chime in, to suggest whether it should be proposed as is, or maybe a proposal should be made not to introduce the bounds, but just to increase the inflation change percentage. As a reminder, one of the downsides of going through with this proposal is that the migration to actually support it is not necessarily complex, but it's a little risky. Like you have to deploy a new Minter contract and migrate uh, you know, 19 million Livepeer tokens from one contract to another on chain, and 100 ETH from one contract to another on chain. So there's obviously risk in that, and there's market perception in that. Uh, and so simply changing the inflation change parameter, you don't need to do any of that. So if anyone has any new or updated thoughts based on the fact that we got to 50% and we'll likely be back there soon, maybe we take 3 minutes for people to share that. Otherwise, we can move on. And this is open, and probably anyone can go and propose it on chain if they do want to see this go to a vote. So we can take it from there.
So just to clarify, Doug, you mentioned that if we did go through this LIP, we would have to move the current LPT tokens into a new contract. Is that correct?
The all the bonded, the staked Livepeer token sits in a minter contract, and as part of the upgrade, a new minter would be deployed, and the existing LPT would be transferred over to it. Same with the deposited ETH for broadcasters or gateways rather. That'd be part of the upgrade process, but obviously it's observable on chain. There's obviously, we'll certainly there's plenty of testing and simulation already in place, but the community would want to have confidence that that's going to go well without issue.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious. Definitely curious on how much people are interested in this type of upgrade, given that we're so close to the participation threshold. So we did touch it, we kissed it, we came down. And hopefully we might get to it again. So we'll kind of see, unless there's like a whale who just like is edging that 50%, like 49.9, and just keeps it there, right? In which case, then something like that proposal might be necessary.
Right. There's another option here, which is like, this doesn't have to happen right now. It's authored, the code is there. This could be proposed in the future. One suggestion was, hey, we actually do the harder work to make that minter contract proxy upgradable. I won't go into the full details of what that means, but essentially, when we want to upgrade that minter, we could do so without having to update its state as well and deploy and move all those funds on chain. So in the future, you could deploy these minor sort of code-based updates without having to migrate all the token. And so, that itself is a bit of an architecture change and requires a bunch of work, but that might be worth doing so that in the future, we don't have to like migrate these token every time. And maybe it's worth doing that first and then coming back to revisit the ceiling and floor later should people want it.
Great. Where can people leave their comments if they want to discuss this? Where's the conversation being had?
There's a forum thread. I can link it in the chat about this LIP 100. People can share thoughts. It hasn't been actively discussed in a little while since we hit that 50% mark, but I know the security team's been working hard to have the pull request is reviewed. There's a bunch of comments. It's it's about ready to go and be proposed if people want to put it to a vote. I just haven't felt a lot of sort of demand or energy requesting that vote in the subsequent update since we've got near 50%.
I just a comment from my end. I think at least my sense is, I think people we're waiting to see if we get back to 50% consistently. Because my kind of, when we went just under, the sense I got was like similar to what you said, Titan. Like it was kind of someone like wanting to keep a higher inflationary environment. And it kind of was like, oh, actually, I'd rather like unstake to keep it just under the 50%. So I think maybe folks want more time just to see how it plays out. Yeah.
For what it's worth, I think a likely scenario, and this is a long way away, it's maybe even years away, but inflation's very high. And so if we do pass the 50% and sort of get significantly above it, then inflation's going to keep pushing the participation rate up. And it's likely we stay above 50% for a long time. And that'll drop the inflation ultimately. In the past, those who've been here for years remember, this happened maybe 5 years ago when we actually started to approach 0%. inflation. And that was a whole different risk where orchestrators wouldn't be able to fund themselves without inflation. And that's where the concept of the inflation floor might become interesting again. So again, I think before maybe when we're like out of danger mode and inflation's going down as many people feel is helpful, but we're nowhere near a floor nor a ceiling, that might be the time to just like put these guardrails in when we're not really at risk of running up against them. And then that gives people the ability to control things over governance over time.
And could you just go into why you think when inflation starts going down, you think the participation will be continued to push up?
Only because there's still a high inflation rate, and so there's a lot of tokens being generated each day, month, year, and they're staked by default, right? So it's the reason that we've come to 50% or 50% more quicker recently is because more and more tokens are being issued.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I encourage people to go in and join in on the conversation there. The forum post, like that's a good place to have that conversation. So thank you, Doug, for putting all the hard work into that, and hopefully we can guide the protocol towards a healthy inflation rate.
Thank you.
Okay, let's continue on. We've got some other topics around some technical updates, and yeah, let's keep it going. So, Define, do you want to give us an update? You mentioned technical updates and agents on the network. Can you tell us about your topic, please?
Yes, thank you, Titan. So, hello guys. If you are not familiar with the update channels that we have, the Eliza update channel, the VTuber channel, we are working on the major update for our VTuber, which we basically add Eliza V2 integration and a bunch of very interesting cognitive abilities. And yes, so right now we have completed all the periphery work required. So if you're dealing with Eliza, you can use live peer inference on Eliza V2 right now, while it was only on V1, which is also a component which we use on the new VTuber architecture. The NeuraSync repository, it's completely reworked from the ground and refactored. So it's one Python package right now, really clear to work with. Spent a lot of time on that as well. So that is done. On the game side, because there is not the time to also deal with that, we have been doing moves to get a 3D animator. We actually been doing that we are in the process of that for at least 1.5 months, if I remember well. But it's truly hard to find serious hardworking 3D animators. But it seems that we're about to get one. So that means radical improvements on the game side, which will run in parallel with all the tech updates. Now on the new update demo, you're gonna see it in few days, and you also gonna see it on the wall of it, plus the visual side on the next Monday on the GovWorks hours, which they invited us to do a demo there. Okay, and another update is that we also added Livepeer on the AutoGen Swarm, so for which is also part of our architecture. So for those who don't know, AutoGen is a Microsoft maintained framework which allows you to run agent swarms. Agent swarms are teams of agents that, as it is logical, they have better cognitive output than putting one agent to do one task. So those are the updates. Is there anyone who is interested maybe on a demo on how to run Eliza V2? I have posted all the documentation and an example rip. I'm gonna post the URLs here. If you're interested in seeing a live demo, please either say it or write it. Need to know if there is the audience for that because it will take some.
You want to do the demo right now?
If there are people that they're willing to see for the how to run Eliza V2, so yeah.
This is for the Eliza V2 integration with Livepeer, correct?
Yes, it's not for the cognition update. It's not fully ready yet. It will be ready in a few days.
Well, do you want to get that set up and then we'll do the demo after, in just in a few minutes here?
Oh yeah, that's possible as well. And so I can finish on the second part, and then I can do the setup and just show the demo to people basically. Yeah, so about agents, guys, Eliza V2 really gives much more freedom and a lot of tooling to deal with the Discord client, with Twitter, with Telegram, all those clients. And having swarms, which we already developed, give us a very good cognition. So we are not even for 8 billion parameters agents, we are not dependent on that mediocre cognition. We have the swarm cognition, so we can have 5 or even more like 8B agents that they produce a good output. So there is a really good opportunity to use those agents not to replace people, but to augment people, so they can focus on the things that really matter, focus on giving direction, and let the agents do the heavy work. One particular space which I think there is a lot of place for testing those agencies, spam and not only spam but scam operations, basically to detect scammers and to have an archive of the community of what people said, what people doing basically, which is public, but having a really easy interface for the community to go and see, okay, this is what's happening as a very high level view image. And so agents can really, we can really outsource a lot of things to agents, and I don't know what people think about it. It's something that it's happening in the business world, and we're still early, and I think it's a great place to try that, especially as we have those credits from the second SP proposals, and we can allocate there as well. So it's not extra weight on the protocol. We can do it organically. The only thing that we need is for those agents to get Discord permissions, and that's it. So what you guys think about it?
Well, I think when you say think about it, are you talking about the just specifically V2 and the integration and its capabilities?
You can have that on V1 as well, but V1 is I wouldn't personally like to deal with V1. It's so buggy and people not maintain it anymore. So V2 it's a lot better.
Yeah, I'm glad you're working on V2 because it's definitely where everyone is heading, and it's going to be the baseline, I think, for going forward. So thank you so much for implementing V2 into it, and we'll do your demo in just a few minutes, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Great. I want to give a quick update too on the Agent SBE side about a couple things that I've been working on, and then obviously we can give a demo on on Eliza v2, the integration. So for those that don't know, I did a tutorial on how to use Eliza v1, and you go to livepeer-eliza.com, and it gives you the there's a tutorial as well as integration. We'll have to update those docs for v2, and hopefully it'll be easier to use, and then people can quickly use Livepeer for v2. So a quick update from the agent SBE on my side. For those obviously that have seen the agent that I posted on pump.fun, Sarah, she's still live. We're waiting on all the updates that Define is doing before I can post them live. So ideally we can move her into a proper containerized version of what Define is building. Add a friend. The goal is to get Sarah to talk to another agent and have a continuous back and forth conversation. And then so we would, hence why we have to wait for the animator to make a different face, and then obviously making that pipeline super stable. And then for Sarah specifically, like the pump.fun integration is just really, really crude. Because they use like WebRTC over a browser, and there's really no APIs. So it's been a fun experiment, and it'll be fun to just keep deploying upgrades to her and just seeing what people think. But yeah, pump.fun is not like a great technical implementation, but it's a fun way to display like what's possible with what we're building. So excited to just keep pushing those updates and get a much more refined, better quality, talking head agent. And then that being said, I did have a meeting with the founders and CEO of younow, younow.com. It's like they're one of the top streaming platforms in the world, and they've encouraged us to deploy agents onto their platform and start experimenting. And they're going to work with us on trying to find a solution for the problem they're having, and so that'll be kind of fun. I'll be hacking on that over the next week here, and be in touch with them. So there could be some sort of like close working relationship with them if we can build agents that serve the purpose that they're looking for. Again, a lot of that technology is going to come from what we've been building with Sarah, and then obviously the pipelines that Define is literally building as we speak, all powered by Livepeer and Eliza framework. So that's kind of the goal. And then I guess the last topic from me would be like this bring your own container idea that Brad has deployed. I see there's a comment here from Rick about bringing your own container, and I think that's really, really cool. That what can happen is if Define builds a VTuber pipeline that has 90% of the VTuber assets and interaction you want, but you can modify that container. You could say, hey, like I want this agent to play this type of game, or I want them to have this type of pipeline or this type of asset. And so you could go in and modify that and redeploy it without having to like integrate it directly into as a Livepeer pipeline, I guess. And then it would just be bring your own container. So I don't know, Rick, I know you had to go, or maybe Elite, you can explain the bring your own container idea, but is it quite simply just I can bring a container and ask orchestrators to run it, and it's a plug and play in terms of payments and uptime and all these type of things?
Yeah, so I'm happy to give some information there. I stayed a little bit longer for this discussion because I was also curious about the Agent SPE updates. So this bring your own container is something we already talked about in the last year when we were still doing Bets AI. What we noticed is if we keep having to build these SaaS pipelines ourselves, we cannot compete with other people because in the sense we're just a decentralized compute network. We can do a lot of compute over the probabilistic micropayments that Livepeer provides. So essentially, people should be able to just have their computer run on the Livepeer network. It's not the easiest problem, but essentially, while we were focusing on the Cascade roadmap, which I think is important because real-time video AI is the distinguishing factor that can set Livepeer apart right now compared to the competition. But we still had a lot of people come in that wanted to run their own compute on the Livepeer network. And that's why also in our last proposal from the AISP, there was an item to further generalize the pipelines on the Livepeer network, and Brett has been working towards that. He has also helped, for example, other groups already trying to onboard similar. He worked with the Agent SPE. He's working with some other groups there to ensure that, for example, like you say it right now, you have a container, you have your compute in there. The Livepeer network is not opinionated about the types of inputs and the type of outputs that get out of there. And basically, it just runs the compute on the Livepeer network. It routes the inputs, outputs through the Livepeer network. It does payment. Currently, it's simplified still. There's still a lot of to be worked out. As currently, if I'm correct, it's based on seconds of compute right now. That might be too simple in the end case, but it gets us started. And essentially, that would mean that the container just throws errors, essentially, if something goes wrong, but you can run this computer on the Livepeer network. And I was really happy to see Brett's proof of concept that he showcased last week to the community. I put it in the chat. And I see that Brett is here, so there's no better person to dive into this better than him because he built it.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for starting that off. But Rick's right in everything that he said. It is bring your own container, and as Titan has said, you ask the orchestrators to run it, and they'll run it, and you'll be able to get the compute done on the network. The payment is at the current time in seconds used. Still some work to do on how the micropayments make it built there and how that all works and integrates into the current way of how the orchestrators make the micropayments. The most important thing that this did was just enable a way for other apps or have a lighter way of interacting with the network and talking to the orchestrators in a way that they understand, get their work done. It's not overly complicated. It just passes through the request, passes through the response, and right now it's synchronous. So it's you make the call to the orchestrator, it does the work, it sends it back. But it can also send it back as a streaming text, similar to the LLM stuff, which is in the message link, the demo that I posted in the lounge channel.
Oh, thank you for natively putting in streaming, because that's one of the problems with Sarah is just she's so delayed because we're chunking it together, and then it's just like one process after another. Like she's just like 30 seconds behind on everything.
Yeah,
right.
It's just text streaming, so it's service and events, and it's only text at the moment. But happy to explore other ways as well.
Sure. With that being said, you mentioned that the container is billed per second of time. Now, does that mean if you have a slower GPU, you you earn more because you're slower at doing it, or is the gateway expecting a certain time and they prepay for the time and they've already determined how much time it should take, even if you're slower, or like how does that work?
Yeah, that's the big question. So it is just per second, and you would have to get some confidence into how long it might take on different hardware, because it's not all, no matter what we do on the network, it's not likely all going to be the same hardware. And managing that will be somewhat of a difficult task. Hopefully some things that we can implement is like showing how to select orchestrators and their URLs based on the hardware that they report that is running, and also trying to keep information on how that orchestrator performed on that task in the past. So if you could limit the amount of bad requests or put those orchestrators at the back of the line that perform slower, it would produce a better outcome of the compute that you requested to get done.
Because
Yeah, and maybe one thing for context here, Titan. So, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, but initially you currently implemented this directly to the network, which I think is something that we have talked about in the past with the community before. So it runs in the browser. One of the main benefits of that is that an agent who just runs in the browser can just do a job on the Livestream network without even having to use a gateway. So that's the current state that it is in. But essentially, if I'm correct, it can then also be translated to also run through like the gateway or run through that software if needed. And then you can do selection there. It's basically these questions you're asking, Titan, are important about how do you do the payments? How do you do hardware selection? The other question, of course, is like security on the orchestrator side. It's another thing we have to tackle. And there are still all other things like verification. But for proof of concept and working with the agent SPE, I think this is a really nice deliverable.
One option on the hardware thing is the container that you provide could check what the hardware is and just fail to start up if it doesn't have what you want. Now, there's ways that people can get around that, but that's a more advanced thing to see. Hey, this orchestrator modified my container. They're starting it up and they have a 1660, but I'm expecting a 3090. Then you would just never send work to that orchestrator again. You know, but it's with a decentralized compute network, I think that we're going to do the best we can and keep iterating to get it the best we can, but there's always going to be a little bit of risk there.
Right. So the gateway would then be having to go in and say, listen, I'm expecting these type of GPUs. I'm expecting this time of speed, and if you don't conform, then you get bumped to the bottom.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Well, either way, I think the bring your own bring your own container is quite literally just a difficult problem in itself, because you are encompassing, right? Like you don't get to do it per token or per pixel of output, right? Like you're doing it per whatever, some arbitrary container, right? So like that is in itself difficult, but I think from a gateway's perspective, it just gives the network so much more robust like usability. Like I can just build my own container, I can run it locally, and as soon as I have a scaling issue, I just throw it onto the network, and now I can pay to scale, right? And the container's built exactly how I like it. Go ahead.
Yeah, you go first, bro.
Go ahead, Rick. It's all you, man.
No, I just want to say, so yeah, that's an important thing. So you could basically just version it on like the container. So meaning that if you have an updated container, you can deploy it to the network or other states that can still run the container. Of course, there are some questions to be answered on how to scale this automatically. Download the right container, download the right software. How do we do that efficiently? And then people have orchestrators, for example, load containers where there's more load from a certain container. That's one thing, but I think the nicest thing here is that we have currently two partners working with, so the Agent SP, and the Stream TV was also interested. I have another two partners that might be interested, meaning that we could test this out with partners, and then basically based on that, further develop it while keeping it currently then still a little bit more protected and a little bit late white at the beginning for this container while we work these things out.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not trying to dictate up here. I'm approaching this in the way of the least amount of layers as possible from the start. So like Titan and DeFi, very open to any feedback and what you may need, or what kind of tools might be needed to be able to actually successfully use this.
That's probably a good question for DeFi, yeah.
Yeah, so Brad, I haven't had the opportunity to yet test your container because I'm too busy with bundling everything together. I will have that opportunity in 1 to 2 days, and I will give detailed feedback back because I really don't want to just read the docs. I want to to play with it. And yes,
Yeah.
Now, what people need to understand is that what Brad built is in a lot of ways a great multiplier for the network, because it allows you to run any kind of inference task, either that's being connected to vision AI, either that's being connected to real-time audio, real-time visuals, and it encompasses everything. So it's so many great possibilities. So thank you so much, Brad. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing without your work and the support of and leadership of Rick and the ASP as well.
Yeah, happy to do it. Excited to help Sarah keep yelling at people and all her offspring from her example.
We could. Oh no, are we scaling Sarah now? Ruh-roh. Uh-oh. Cheap decentralized inference, Sarah, multiplies.
Yeah, Titan, your split-second decision to create a real sassy example to test has it's gonna last for a little while here.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, it's been a fun. It's been fun. I now know what it feels like for people to yell at you for making a token, and that's been it's been. I think my favorite quote was Shaw, obviously the guy who built Eliza AI16Z. He's like, everyone should launch a token so they know the absolute pain it has when it goes down in price. And people just scream at you on the internet. And I'm like, yeah, I got like 15 seconds of fame, and I was like, yeah, people are like aggressive. I'm like, wow, okay. But yeah, no, it's super funny that that Sarah is what it is. But yeah, I mean, how do you scale Sarah? Right? Is she gonna live in your smartwatch now? I'm not sure if you need that type of confidence booster, but now she could with this type of scaling container. So it's it'll be fun to see how it builds out. Not to mention, like, I'm actually really curious on how the containerization works based on like guardrails and stuff, because yeah, that's actually something I've been running into an issue with the Llama 8 billion, is just like hitting these Llama guardrails that I didn't know existed. And it's kind of weird. Like, I don't understand how Sarah has been so sassy, because the guardrails definitely don't want her acting like that. Like, it's pretty wild that I even stumbled upon the fact I can get by it. Actually, I don't think there's been another Sarah equivalent, because everyone's having trouble with the guardrails. So, yeah, I just wonder, like, this container could be the scalable guardrail-less way, because you can properly tune it. So it's just been a really interesting test in finding out where the boundaries are for these type of agents. So yeah, very interesting. Sarah, we've learned a lot from Sarah. We've learned a lot from her, and we will for a while. This is pushing the boundaries.
So do you have a boyfriend plan for her?
Zodzilla. Oh, big shout out to Zodzilla for helping me manage the Sarah community. Zodzilla is the hired gun for the for moderating and posting about Sarah. So he's actually taking the brunt of it, and he probably is having a hard time working with me because I don't get back to him very often. I'm quite busy doing other things. So big shout out to Zodzilla for managing that community and giving us critical feedback on what people want to see in an agent. And trying to filter out the noise from the signal on our agents. So yeah, just super big shout out. Thanks for joining the team, and it'll be exciting to keep working with you. We've got some big plans with the Agent SBE, so I haven't told you about any of it yet. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. So big shout out. Yeah, so with that being said, Define, do you want to do your demo? Do you want to share your screen and see if we can do a quick demo over the next 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll kind of end it there.
Yes, sir. It's not gonna take, I think, 15 minutes, but let me share my screen. Share my entire screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So I know that you don't want me to talk about the ELISA architecture, etc. So this is the project. ELISA allows you to do projects, and it take advantage of the plugin. So I have CD inside the project. I'm into the project, and there is just one command to run it. So it's ELISA os start, and that is gonna start the project, and it's gonna activate the UI we see now. Now we see two agents here. You have the ability to run multiple agents with ELISA, but for now, this test plugin, which by the way you can run, and we'll post the URL later, it has one. So I'm gonna, this agent, this is a default agent that ELISA has and says it's community manager. Now what happens with ELISA is if I say, please welcome XYZ into the Livepeer community, it will respond, but it has a reflect process. So all of that is its character prompt, and its history. So it retains a history of all the messages before. And so it will reply with this, which is its reply, and it will also show this. This is the reflection process. ELISA, it will not just reply, it will think about reply. So now it says, okay, this is something that it's on my character to reply. I'm trying to reply on it, so I will reply. This, by the way, is irrelevant. This is the Livepeer call going through with all the prompt and the using the llama model. And so let's now do a call that it's not related. And a lot of time it will not reply. So it goes through, and it does not give us, as you see, a full message. It just gives us the reflection process. User has sent multiple test messages, not any relevance. It's not on my topic, so I don't reply. So this is how ELISA works. For those who are interested in working more with ELISA and using our ELISA, you can go here on elisa.how. You can go to the docs, and from here you just have to install from source, git clone, check out on the way to develop, not on the main, and from there you have to follow what, not this one. You have to git clone this on the root of the ELISA here, so you have to do git clone.
Question for you, Define. Is the Livepeer plugin published to the plugin repo yet?
Everything, yes. So
right.
It's published, but I have done how it's called, a mock commit, no mock, like the commit where you can see the tests. How it's called? Yes, this is the PR, but it's not a regular PR because I want to also add the swarms on that, and there is an error which does not impact the anything on the flow, but I want just to see what is. But so it's not on the packages yet because I have not asked for people to review this one. I need to move it to a regular PR from mock PR that is from a draft PR, sorry. And yeah, because I want to check this if it has any impact at all, which is not to have, and to also add the swarms, which I have developed for AutoGen. But yeah, so this is fully working. You can follow the details on the repo that I post if you want to use it. Now, if you wait 1 or 2 days, you will be able to run it without all that fuss because it will be on the packages, so it will be way easier. You will not have to git clone this. Now you have to git clone the project, which is also posted. It's just posted on Discord, and you also have to git clone the plugin inside the packages. So it's an extra step. Cool. And I don't know if people want to see the neurosync working. It's not something great. I haven't prepared a good voice for that. It's just completely reworked from the bottoms up with new documentation, with package build. Now we have CLI separated and very clean uh, client and backend. So for this, you can do. You basically run the client. Now this is one step before the full bundling of all the phases of both of them. And wait. Oh, to enter through bus. Typing from not the best keyboard, by the way, because it's yeah, it doesn't have too much space between the. Okay, and I think this one. Have started the client. Oh yes, we have. This one we started. Okay, we have started the client, and we need to start the server. So wait. Yep. It's not correct. Cool. Up. This, by the way, all of this will be abstracted inside the container. But the client gives you the ability to specify different things. So this is core is the consolidation of two different repositories of the neurosync creator, which you had to install separately, and you had to install separately the game. So all of that it's consolidated into one thing plus the game through scripts. So we start the backend, and then we start the client, and from the client I can I have the, as you see, my VTuber open, and from the client, I can just write. And now, sorry guys, the voice is really bad. I wasn't prepared to show this today, and I haven't said the default one. You see now the default animation.
I'm just a computer program, so I don't have feelings.
I think your stream's muted. I don't hear it.
But I'm here to help you.
I can hear it.
Oh, weird. Okay, never mind.
How can I assist you today?
I can hear it. It's a man's voice on Sarah's face.
So you have an interface where you send data, it replies back. It's all in one single repository. Now, to keep complexity low right now, I haven't. It has code for local LM. I haven't yet tested it with local LM on this update because it revamped everything. And local TTS. I did some tries with TTS was by far the most troublesome. I think I spent like 4 hours trying to compile like custom builds, and there were all kinds of errors, especially if you don't try to do that inside of a container as a test. And so it will run without TTS and LM for the initial test, and then to reduce complexity, and then we just like gonna drop them in. Yeah, and that's it, guys. We are 1 or 2 days away from having it out of PNL for PNL test on the partnership that Titan said, and putting it there and testing it on the container, and it will just become better from there. And just for a final reference, I want to say that if you go on if you go on the proposal, you will see that we have put for to start the PNL tests. And for those who don't know, the PNL test is our aim is to have the VTuber generate value autonomously. And so we said in the proposal that this is gonna be done on month 3, and we're about to do it this week, and we're on week 3 of month 1. So it's really good news. It's going really well. There's still a lot of work and research on how we can uh, how we can count cognition, which is also a very emergent field, and how we can see the success on the specific user cases, how to make it possible for people to also add their proprietary code and data so that more companies like use it. But it's like really exciting, and yeah, thank you so much for supporting our what we're doing, and it wouldn't be possible without the support of all the library community and the space. So I truly thank you for that.
Right on. Cool. Thank you, Gfine, for sharing, and yeah, excited to get that container up and going for orchestrators to host. And I think that's a really cool opportunity for orchestrators to run like a custom pipeline or a bring your own container. You know, that's pretty neat. Okay, cool. Any other comments or questions before we finish off the final water cooler chat? Well, the final one that I'm hosting. I don't know. We might not. I don't know if we're changing the name or anything, but any other questions or comments before we sign off?
We have the lip sync question from Jason. So Jason, the lip sync is be done through the Unreal Engine Live Link. So Unreal Engine supports Live Link, which is a way to take audio, decompose it into, match it with blend shapes, and then basically transmit the audio together with the blend shapes to the MetaHuman and have this lip sync in real time. So it's a very good approach for us to be able to leverage what Unreal is already be doing, and Unreal also have a lot of more plugins and utility which we haven't yet even scratched the surface for, so there are a lot of exciting possibilities there too.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions? Great. Well, thank you so much for joining today's water cooler chat, where we try and make Livepeer the open and decentralized video infrastructure for the world. I appreciate you being here, and check out for an update on what the plan is for the upcoming call. And we will see you again shortly. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.